Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Sonic 2006. It is time for the Kingdom Valley Very Hard S-Rank run. This took a bit, obviously. It's Kingdom Valley, it's a long level and it's a hard level. This was my second S-Rank run I did, like in my own chronology. I wanted to go from the back and see if I can do Flame Core, if I can do Kingdom Valley, all of these marathon levels basically. Then I should be set, right? In fact, it turned out that some other levels were much harder than that. But irregardless, this still was a bit tough, and I'm just saying this to explain why some of the things I'm doing here might seem less refined than what I'm doing in Crisis City and later White Acropolis, for example. Anyway, you see me skip a huge bunch of the level at the start here. There are a lot of enemies which I'm not killing. There are a few rings which I'm not getting. For example, the 3x5 ring boxes where I was like, why are they here in the normal recording? They are here for points, Simon, you know? It's like, okay, very tough mystery to solve. If you kill all the enemies, including the bonus, quote-unquote, wave of enemies you don't really have to kill, then these 15 rings spawn, and I mean 15 rings are 150 points right here and there, and if you can carry them to the end, it's another 1500. However, of course, getting rings at the very start of a 15-minute level with silver, it's extremely unlikely that you will carry them to the end. Instead, what I did was just try for the time bonus, right? I will take 3 rings like here, because again, these are 3x5 rings, is 150 points for like 0 time effort. So I'm taking them, and I mean, of course, maybe I can carry them all to the end. It's not going to happen, I will get hit a lot. Yeah, that was my thinking at this time. And this is generally, I think, the compromise you have to do with these longer levels, where you just have to think about, okay, how much time do I actually want to spend on stuff that won't actually help me in the end? See, get sniped immediately, and there was just not really much I could do here. Again, I could be very patient with every single one of these encounters, wait until they fire back and so on, but that's pretty janky as well, because, you know, you sometimes just get hit. Here I just took it, but silver is not the best at picking up every single projectile, and then they might not fire because they don't see you. It's just not a very good thing to do overall, I think. And therefore, in the end, I decided, okay, speed over these kinds of point opportunities that might or might not actually work out in the end. Why am I fussing around so weirdly here? Well, I thought that I would hit the enemy, the caller enemy, the floating bot, with projectiles and kill it, then the other 2 would die with a point bonus. However, it just floated out of reach. Like, I don't know if that is programmed to do it or if it's just unlucky. And this was before I realized that you could pick it up after stunning it and throw it against the wall, and then I would get the point bonus. Just a little unfortunate, what's the word, consequence of me doing this rather early and not knowing all the techniques yet. Anyway, otherwise, so far, just doing the level normally, there is not that much I, without speedrunning knowledge, can shortcut in Kingdom Valley. There is definitely a few possibilities here and there. Here, for example, I am basically taking a shortcut. I'm not letting myself fall down with the bridge. Because you could just go up the stairs, of course. I haven't done that in very hard yet, and I don't think I want to. It doesn't really matter. But other than that, I take my opportunities where I can, like at the very start. Other than that, I don't really have that many speedrun tricks for this level. My general tactic is being efficient time-wise, killing enemies where I have to, like here, for example. Again, I could probably skip this by glitching into the cage or putting a crate on top of it and floating up, but it doesn't seem worth trying, in my opinion, because, you know, it worked out in the end. So you don't have to be super duper fancy to do this and get the S rank. It's not extremely, incredibly unbeatable. But here, for example, it's like, okay, it both takes less time to not get hit there and also maybe preserves rings. So it's just one of those small optimizations, basically, where I'm like, okay, let's try and get through here with a modicum of efficiency, shave off a few minutes in the end. Here as well, I'm not going for the stuff in the cage, doesn't matter, all the enemies there are tough to kill, only give 100 points because they're weak, so whatever. I'm actually kind of proud here that I managed to not get hit, because it's very hard in these circumstances. In the hard and other modes as well, it's very difficult. But again, it's very, very hard to control not getting hit with silver at all. I had the telekinesis up, I was turning around everywhere, and still I somehow missed it. And then stuff like this happens where the robot fires in midair. It's just really funny, but again, you just sometimes get hit from off screen more or less randomly, and there is not much you can do. So if you can avoid needing a ring bonus by banking up some points and some time bonus instead, then by all under any circumstance you should do that, by all means. Yeah, good English today. Here once again, I wonder if shooting that robot is supposed to do anything, or like destroying the invisible robot is supposed to do anything. Now that I look at it in hindsight, maybe if you just kill the big ones and not the invisible one, you trigger the 4 floaters on the side, then you kill the invisible one, and maybe he's linked to the 4 new ones, and then you get an awesome point bonus. Possible. I haven't investigated it, but I mean, feel free to do so if you feel compelled to play this game after I showed you the light of it being amazing. But I'm not going to go back after I made this observation, sorry. Anyway, these robots will never be tough. They always seem like they're like, oh, these are the red versions, the red-black evil super versions, and they have lasers now, but they don't really do anything. So, well, whatever. Anyway, as usual with Sonic, putting on the shield just in case I can preserve the rings, and slowing down time, because it's always sensible to squeeze out as many time bonus points that you can with these little tricks. And it's very hard, it's a DLC, you know. I worked hard for this and all the gems, so I am quite willing to cheat a little here and there. And who knows, maybe it was intended in some way. This room here is very tough to not get hit, as we found out. Just randomly sometimes get hit by stuff and lose your shield, and then you lose it and you get hit immediately again. So far so good. We'll see if it lasts. I haven't watched this footage in a while. Oh, up there! Took me a bit to find. And there we go, another room done without getting hit. I'm getting a little bit like, can I actually preserve these rings to the end here? Because that would feel really good. So if I'm starting to play a little bit more cautious here, then this is the reason. It is in the end not necessary, I can tell you that. Maybe I could have sped up things a little bit more. Anyway, another skip here, which I discovered during testing the thing. This is obvious because you can't just, not make the stairs. But also, as we have found out in the normal version of the level, you can't just go over here, right? There's nothing stopping you. And I'm deliberately, again, not triggering the trap for the ring and for the ring boxes and the one-up boxes, so that I don't have to go in there and get hit, because I figure maybe I cannot get hit here. The biggest issue with that, of course, is that the yellow robots are extremely difficult to avoid with their 6-shot volley of homing missiles. So I'm not even trying here. What I am trying, however, is try and shoot down the towers ASAP before the explosions catch up with me. The biggest issue here, and this is where I think I didn't mention it during the normal recording, but this part is terribly designed, because you want to shoot the towers, right? And this is what all the robots are that are constantly spawning here are for, giving you ammunition to hit the towers. But the shots you fire go to the nearest target, which happen to be the robots themselves. So I don't know what the hell they thought this was going to happen consistently, how this was going to happen consistently. I'm really struggling here. It's like I'm getting super nervous about like, hey, I would really like to just shoot down this tower now, but all of the projectiles I pick up either they vanish before they reach me, or it's these weird stun bombs that don't reach the towers. And then finally the tower falls almost by accident. I don't even know what happened there. And then the other tower falls. I'm like, okay, sure, thanks. But I somehow managed to keep the ring, so that's nice, isn't it? But this is something which I would definitely not expect any player to be able to pull off, and I feel like I got massively lucky like 5 times in a row. So yeah, please don't bank on that. Don't think that is necessary. Again, if you're trying to replicate these S ranks and using this as a guide, would be flattered if you are, of course, but just as a general rule, be a little bit careful. Anyway, panicking here because there is suddenly missiles coming from off screen, like what the hell are you doing here? I'm trying to keep my rings here, broski. And of course always have to watch out if I do want to do that, how often do the robots shoot. By this point I need to know that, just to be sure. And here as well I know that they are going to spawn in, so I'm trying to take out one of the yellow ones immediately and then book it to the end so that I can see what is happening behind me, because otherwise stuff like this happens. And here my heart broke basically, because I had managed to keep the rings until now, this entire time, and it was basically completely random that this row would even see me. You could see how far away the missile was. That could have not hit me as well. That would have been really nice of the game, you know. But alas, I was just within the explosion radius, and sadly I have to scrounge for the rings here and hope that it is enough. But keep in mind, if you remember, about the same ring situation happened in the normal recording, but the normal recording took over 16 minutes. I am now at 11 minutes, and that means the time bonus is much higher, and that means with the rings on this tableau just here and a few banked up, it was just enough to get me the S rank. So you don't need to keep all the rings to the end. You can. I showed you almost how, but you don't have to. And I was really relieved here, because just doing this again, I don't know. It's I have a few failed attempts as well, and we are watching them right now. This took a bit. This is a long level. It's a hard level, and it's not the best level, to be quite honest. Yeah, there are a lot of situations where you're like, yep, I guess I get hit here. There is not much you can do with skill, in my opinion, which is always a bad sign. Machine guns are deadly, in fact. And yeah, so just from what you can see here, you can in fact just very easily die in this level. It is not even about not reaching the point total you need in the end. If you are hurrying too much, if you're being a little bit too impatient, then this level has no qualms killing you. And this is also something where I'm like, this is not actually bad, right? Like, this is a combat scenario, and then you get shot by machine guns, and as I've mentioned, it's a nice balancing thing to balance out, and Sonic 06 moment here by the way, to balance out how ridiculous the ring system is usually, because you will always survive if you just have one ring left. But it's still a little bit tough, of course, in some points. You can see what happens if you take 3 minutes longer than I did, have about the same rings, but just not enough points in the end. And here's another heartbreaker moment where, again, I got hit with 67 rings. It's pretty much the same amount. And I keep some more rings here a little bit, but again 15 minutes, not 11. It's like speed is really key here. You really want to be super efficient, and this would be the extra 4,000 points or so, 50,000 time bonus, that would have been enough. Again, I managed to keep a bunch of rings coming here, and I'm trying again desperately to not lose them. It's tough, you see. It's like, oh, this guy respawned behind me, he hasn't shot for a while, and then suddenly he does, and then, yeah, you know, you do get hit. It's like, what can you do, really? You don't really see that. You see, the time bonus is excellent again, but I just didn't have enough rings. Thank you very much for your attention.